So let's take a closer look into the history of match balls. This is a typical example of manufactured ball way from the 1930s. I mean, there was always, for all the decades, certain FIFA regulations that we, of course, had to fulfill. But at that time, Adi made footballs, boots, but not footballs. This took until basically the mid-60s when he, for the first time, actually also produced footballs. And it was actually made out of France in a little village called Detwiller. And it was Adi's son Horst who primarily has striven to further produce balls. But the big milestone for Adidas came in 1970 when the world was looking to the World Cup that took place in Mexico. And you might remember it was the first time that the World Cup was globally broadcasted with satellite TV. So that was probably a milestone also for Adidas football, because that Telstar was seen in every match, and it was an outstanding success in those years. Since then, we gradually improved the balls, not only from a performance characteristics, but we also looked into the way the ball actually can be seen by the spectators or on a camera. And I think the next big milestone came with the tango that was developed for the World Cup in 1978. This tango design almost gives you the impression of 10 identical circles that were seen on the ball. And it was outstanding. And that design actually became almost like a milestone and a recognition or a key identifier for Adidas match balls since these early years. We also improved the way that the materials would withstand any water uptake, which was the worst problem in the early decades when the match balls were seen that they had a certain weight in the beginning, but over a game when it was played in wet conditions, the ball took up so much weight. And you can imagine if a striker does a head ball or gets a shot and takes that shot, it's difficult, of course, to handle because of the irregularities with the ball weight. So we worked from that side. And then I think another major milestone came when we found a new method through our Adidas innovation people that we can change the manufacturing process of match balls. The perfect example is, and it started already 2 years earlier for a ball that we developed for the European Championships, when you see the match ball that we used in the 2006 World Cup. That ball no longer uses the normal manufacturing process, but instead comes with thermally bonded panels and elements that not only created a much smoother surface, but got rid of the irregularities that you would have in the conventional manufacturing process. We worked further with that system, and the feedback from players was terrific. And now if you take it to the latest match ball, we again improved from that measurement. We still use the thermally bonded manufacturing process for a smooth surface, but it is rougher on the outside, simply to give players more grip, no matter what the weather conditions would be. And the extremely stable flight characteristics is what the players' feedback was mostly all about. So I think if we see where we now are in 2010, if I'll take you back where we started, or where actually the first footballs, not Adidas at that time, but where the first footballs were seen in 1930-something, we've come a long way. They measure the same, but if, let's say, we would both play now in wet conditions, that one probably would weigh maybe twice the weight it has now. This one would stay exactly the way it is, and no matter what the conditions would be,